Hello and welcome to day one, or number one, whatever, of our 3 Valentine's inspired makeup looks. I do Valentine's because I don't really like Valentine's Day, to be honest. And you can do these anytime, okay? It doesn't matter. They are just definitely using pinks. And yeah, if you're into Valentine's Day, then great. This might give you some ideas to do. If not, then might just give you some fresh ideas on how to use pink in makeup look. So today's look, our very first one, is a very simple, natural, kind of barely there makeup look. So if you are the type you're like, I don't want to spend 40 minutes on my makeup, right? You just want something easy, simple, but pretty and natural, then this will be the one for you. So we're gonna get started. I'm gonna start on my eyes. So I have already put foundation on my eyes. So you can use an eyeshadow primer if you want. I just don't like having to buy an extra product. So I just use my highlight or foundation or whatever. Okay, I just like pat it on like that. And now we're gonna go in with our first color. Okay, I have a bunch in here there for like all the other looks, okay? But the ones we're focusing on are these ones at the bottom, okay? So I'm gonna start with this one, Mama. And it is just the lightest of pinks. It's a matte, and it's just great as just a base. So I'm gonna put that all over my lid as a base. And I'm using the eyeshadow brush. This really fluffy end is just great for putting on shadow light, but also blends it just perfect. So you don't get those harsh lines and you just get that good, even coverage. Okay, so you don't have to be super fancy with this part. Okay, now we're gonna go in with, whoop, wrong end. Oh my gosh, what's happening? Here we go. Now we're gonna go in with that one. It is called, gosh, Paris. Let me just double check that. Claire, wow, Claire. Going in with that one. And I'm going to use this smaller end now. So the smaller end is more dense, so it's going to give more color. And I'm just going to throw that just on the outer corner, kind of making like a V. And then in to the crease a little bit. And again with this, put on more if you want more pigment. If you just want to keep it super light, then don't put on as much, or use the fluffy side if you only want a tiny bit on. Okay, and then flip it over to the fluffy side to really just blur those edges. Get that all blended out, okay? So last step, if you want, you don't have to do this. I'm going to take this shimmer one. It is called, oh, why am I forgetting right now? Sis. It's because these are the new ones, so I'm not used to using them. And I just go in with my finger. We're just going to go on the inner edge. Just give it a little bit of shimmer. So nothing too crazy. Okay, and that's it, right? So 3 colors, simple, easy peasy. So now let's go in with our makeup. And I'm going to be using these 2 brushes. So the blush bronzer brush and then the blend brush. So for like barely there, just kind of getting just the kind of like spot concealing, I love this brush for doing that. So I'm going to show you how I use it. So I'm going to go in with my main highlight shade, or like my darkest one. And I'm just going to look for those areas. So like any blemishes, I don't really have redness, but like any just pinker spots on my skin or dark areas, like that's what I did with my eyes before I did the eyeshadow. And I'm just going to really get that color on those spots. And I'm actually pretty clear right now, so I don't have a lot to do. Okay, and then you can flip it over to the fluffy side, and this is going to give even more light coverage. And I more or less just kind of am hitting everything now, but where they're not the blemishes, you can just go over with this brush and just like lightly cover everything. So I'm going to do another look that is a full coverage look. So I'll show you the different brush I use for that if you do like just that full coverage look. And then I'm going to go in with that blush bronzer brush, and I'm going to do just a light layer of bronzer all over my skin. Sometimes I feel like when I do barely there looks, especially in wintertime, I'm already pale, And sometimes I feel like it just doesn't give me quite enough warmth, but I don't want to put on a lot of makeup, you know? And so I feel like doing this, and you can do this before you do the foundation too, but just putting the bronzer kind of all over kind of acts like a self tanner without adding, like, you don't really notice it. So it still just makes it look natural, you know? I like to bring it down into my neck. Now I'm going to go on with contour. So with contour, you can either put it on with your finger, or else you can use that smaller, this is the same brush we used before, use that smaller end. Oh crap, I just dipped that in bronzer. Oh my gosh. So I'm not going to do that anymore. So I'm going to use my finger now, and then I'll just have to blend it with my brush. That was embarrassing. Okay. So yeah, we're just doing the contour just on the cheekbones, and then I like to just put it on my forehead a little bit. Okay. And now you can either take that really fluffy side or else the smaller side of that blush bronzer and just kind of go up and down and just blur those edges. So don't overblend. You still want it to be there, right? And you can already see just how much of a difference that bronzer and contour have made of not making me look super washed out. There. And that's the thing, you got to remember with like barely there makeup is you have to learn how to like, okay, I got to stop, right? Like it doesn't need to be everything perfectly covered because that would be full coverage, and that's fine if you want that. But if you really want to keep that kind of like, you know, no makeup look, whatever, you have to learn how to like stop. Okay, now let's do some mascara. Oh, here's the thing with barely there. There's like, I love these 4 blush and lips for like natural kind of looks. So we have Tropicana, Frenchie, Ballerina, and Desert Sunset. So Desert Sunset and Tropicana are a little bit more on the glossy side, and then these 2 are like satin matte kind of. So it's so hard to decide every time. I think I'm gonna go Tropicana, at least for my cheeks. So these 4, again, if you're like, I don't want like a loud blush or like anything too dark, then these 4 are really good options, especially if you are fair. They look really good on fair tones. I'm not saying if you're not fair, you can't get them or they won't look good. They will, but. Okay, and then I'm using same brush, the one we used before, to just blend that blush in. And honestly, a lot of times I mix blushes and lips because I can't help myself. And for my lips, I'm going to do, I think, Desert Sunset on my lips. Okay, now, brows. And brows, I use an eyeshadow, I use Bird. Okay, so I brush them up, out. And then I just take that line brush. Or not, this isn't the line brush, this is the, I think it's called the brow brush. I'm not putting a lot in, I'm just trying to define my edges. So I'm still keeping with like my natural brow, just defining them more or less. Okay, so that is our finished look. Let me get a good view of it. So you can definitely still see my skin coming through. Like I said, everything's not perfectly covered up, but that's what I like about it. It's just simple, fresh, light, and yeah, a really simple, just dash of pink eye. So there you have it. That's the Sweetheart, is what I named it. So I hope you liked it. And yeah, we'll get on to the next look. Look number 2 is the Spirited look.